Okay, hello everyone. Thanks for joining the first Explain for Everyone session in the Good Use of AI series. Um, I will be your host and the sharer of the starting points. My name is Bulan Douagi. I'm helping people and companies stay relevant for the next 10 plus years in business. So, of course, in order to stay relevant, you need to understand what goes on around you, right? In present, but also what might come next. My background is in computer science, people and organization, product development management, strategy, and some other fields. Basically, I'm a very curious learner and I really focus when I put my mind to something. And for this session, I focused on this fantastic machinery that's the new wave of AI technologies, or the magical beast. There are many metaphors. And with you today, we'll hopefully take a sneak peek about what's behind the curtain, like in Wizard of Oz. Okay, let's see what's actually happening behind all the uh, bombarding every day on every channel about what AI does, what AI will do, and everything. Okay, so this is the sharing space that we'll be creating together. As a flow, I haven't shared all this information at once in any other setting. Okay, so I've been sharing various parts with various leadership teams in the Leaders in Tech community, in the product makers gathering in Ploiești and so on. But this is the first time I'm sharing this, the whole Miro board. Okay, so I estimate around 20-30 minutes of sharing, okay, just laying out what I've seen. And of course, if at any point you have something to add, something to ask, to clarify, please jump in, okay? And then, given the rest of the time we'll get into free discussions, sharing examples, insights from everyone's practice and things like this. Okay, so probably for the first part, it would be useful to grab a pen and paper or your favorite note taker. I will be sharing also the Miro board as well as a follow-up and the recording for everyone that's interested. All right, and just as a quick overview, I'll start with this insightful AI periodic table that I know Dana and the team from Okapi also created a nice visualization, way better than my Miro, Miro one. But we'll go a bit through this just to get familiar with these key words. Then, of course, there is lots and lots of tools, categories, and I will share with you a bit about the categories. Okay, so besides the actual foundation models, large language models, and compute infrastructure with the graphical processing units and everything, besides all of this, there are many categories of in the generative AI stack that I will do my best to do a quick overview in a non-technical way as possible. I'm not a tech practitioner, so I constantly try to translate this technical stuff to myself as well, to be able to share it with others, okay? And then what I've done is to actually go this extra mile and go see what these tools and applications are actually doing, at least from their pages, and took some screenshots from various tools, and we will be exploring together, okay, what LangChain does and OpenRouter and this kind of tools. Make sense? So wish me luck. I'll try to go briefly, but also to make enough sense of all of this information. All right. So in terms of the AI periodic table, this is all right. Welcome, Shruti. So this is a simplified version from the team of IBM Technology. Is from the YouTube. I will share the links, and I took notes based on the transcript and everything. But basically, what they've done is to arrange various concepts in this space into a nice periodic table. And I'll start sharing this with you in a nutshell, all right? So the prompts, I won't insist on this. Probably everyone knows what prompts are. They are these primitives in the sense that many of the rest of the stack are using this idea of prompting. Then we have this other primitive, which is called embeddings. You know, this is a numerical representation of the meaning. Basically, you take the text, you take that data, and you turn it into a list of numbers that can be processed, and this is called embeddings. The technical colleagues in that session, if you want to add anything in the same non-tech way, please do. But basically, it's a way of encoding this meaning in numerical representations. And also these large language models that, so I won't be, this is why I put also in the description. I won't be deep diving to large language models, but basically this guy here in the video that I shared with you in 5 minutes explains it very well, okay? These these large models that are focused on text, that are combining the data architecture and the training based on lots of data. Okay, so I won't be deep diving into large language models. This is a prerequisite to understand everything that we'll be discussing. Okay, and then there is this other idea of function calls. So basically, this is what your large language model does, calling a specific tool that has specific functionalities. What do you mean, Millie?
Basically, the rows and columns. What does C stand for and what does R stand for, I think.
Yes, columns and rows.
Okay.
So
I
this
thought
is
there is
column
a
one and
meaning.
row 1, 2, 3, 4. So
Okay.
in the matrix, it's for them probably to easily identify each of these concepts. So I like the example here. So for example, if you ask a model what's the weather, it's probably it's gonna do a function call to a weather API to give you some real data based on that weather. Oh, what is happening? Sorry. Can you hear me?
Yeah, your internet jammed a bit.
Okay.
Good now.
All right. Then we have in the same reactive column, in the sense that these systems react to something that you're telling them to do. We have this idea of agents that are running in think, act, observe loops. And like it says here, so the AI plans, you give it a task, the AI plans it, takes an actions, maybe using function calls from above, observes the result, and it keeps going until it reaches the goal. Okay, and it's in row 3 deployment because, and we will discuss in the tech stack, it's about how these agents are actually used in production. And what made me leave many of the other things that I was doing and focus on this generative AI space and reasoning and everything is this post-it right here, the multi-agent systems. So this is these multiple AIs that are working together, debating, collaborating, specializing, reviewing the outputs of one another. We'll discuss a bit more in the orchestration part. But basically, if you can see also, they are building on top of each other, these concepts. Then on the retrieval part, okay, you encode that meaning into numerical representations with embeddings. Then you have this new type of databases that are storing millions and millions of embeddings, and then you can search and retrieve the most relevant ones. Okay, so this is in the shortest way possible the vector databases. And we're still in the retrieval column, okay? Then we have the fine-tuning, where you basically take a base model and adapt it for a specific purpose, whether it's, and we'll discuss because there are many players in this fine-tuning space. Basically, you can adapt it to specific industries. You can adapt it to specific actions or human activities like software programming and these kind of things. And then you also have this synthetic data, in the sense that you use AI to generate training data for AI. And we have some colleagues in the product makers community who are specializing. I mean, the Lovelace ladies are experts in using this synthetic data. So the need behind this synthetic data is if you cannot get enough real examples, even though you will see there are many players who specialize in providing real examples, real world data to these foundation models and the other entities that are training models, there is also generating synthetic data as a thing. All right, then when it comes to orchestration as a column, all right, if you see this RAG, please know it's from retrieval augmented generation. Of course, some of you might be very experienced already in RAG, so I try to balance, from people who hear about it the first time and more advanced. But basically, I like this explanation from the IBM technology team. When you have this question, when you're doing this inference, how it's called in this technological speak, basically the system retrieves relevant context from your documents using the retrieval embeddings and vector databases that I was mentioning, and then it basically augments the prompt that you're using. And of course, we need to pay attention to the context window and all this kind of stuff to not overuse RAG and have lower performance because of the context window usage. But basically, it's in the orchestration column put here because it orchestrates multiple elements together, embedding, vector stores, and models to be able to inject and augment those prompts with that relevant context. Okay, and this kind of approach is very important when we will discuss about making AI systems relevant for specific companies, for specific industries, and reduce hallucination based on general training. All right. And then we have these frameworks, or now they're called agent frameworks, but yeah, agent is an overhyped word these days. Yes, thank you, Leo, Alex. All right. So these are, and we'll see it also from the screenshots from LangChain and these kind of tools. are the platforms that tie everything together and help you deploy those AI systems in production. And we'll discuss more when we get to it. But there are also these frameworks that tie together in the orchestration layer. And of course, there is another important part of the periodic table, the validation. Okay, so how do you validate and how do you make sure the outputs of these systems are not going crazy, are not going outside what is needed for that specific context, for those specific desired outcomes, for those specific actions. And then we have guardrails. Some of you probably, my product manager colleagues probably started already defining specs with guardrails. But basically, it's this idea of making sure the AI doesn't say or doesn't do something and doesn't output garbage or something that it shouldn't do. Safety filters, schema validation, these kind of things. And there is a whole specialization these days around people getting expertise into guardrails because it's a key element for actually using it in business, using it in other sectors in production. There's also this other idea of red teaming. So basically testing what those AI systems output and try to break it, try to see if they're prone to jailbreaks, prompt injection, in the sense that, okay, there is another session we could do, but in the sense that, for example, agents that start browse various websites, those websites can contain some malicious prompt injects that basically tell your agents to do some things that they shouldn't do, like reveal some confidential data from your company. Okay, so this is in the validation column as well, and also this interpretability. So being able to interpret, to understand why a model or a generative AI system does what it does. So there you will see there are many tools that have been developed to trace various things, to see comparisons of prompts and their outputs and these kind of things. And finally, on the models column, besides the large language models that we all should know and probably use by now, there is this other idea of multimodal okay. Multimodal, sorry. Multimodal models. I think I had the, so multimodal models. These models that can process not only text, but also other types of inputs like images, audio, video, and other types of inputs. Small models, this is an emerging and promising evolution in this field of these still specialized models that are fast and cheap for low complexity actions, and they may be run on your phone. We will see whether Apple will make some moves in this space. And the reasoning or thinking models that we've seen from OpenAI first, and then from the others, those models that spend time reasoning. Claude, when you tick that box of thinking on its model, it goes the extra mile and does this reasoning. And what I liked, and also it's an exercise for you if you want, if you combine these elements, you basically can think of okay, if you want to develop or you're using a chatbot that knows your company's documentation, what elements are combined in this, right? So probably there are embeddings. from all the documents that in the knowledge base of your company, probably they were encoded into this numerical representation stored in vector databases to be able to be retrieved to use RAG to retrieve them, which adds this relevant context into the prompt that are using the large language models that probably have some guardrails as well to be used properly inside the company. Make sense? As an example. And of course, if you want to share this kind of explain for everyone sessions, I invite you to with your colleagues or clients, I invite you to, besides these examples, these 4 examples I'll go through, I invite you to do this interactive, okay, Andy, name AI thing that you're using. We won't be doing this now because I'm sure it's usually helpful. Then another example, book me a flight to Tokyo next month under $800. So this is a goal that you give to an agent. And basically underneath this, you probably have an agent or set of agents, depends, doing some function calls, looking to these various platforms of booking flights and comparison platforms and all these kind of things, and that are brought together to be able to perform the task by this framework, agent framework like LangChain. Then we have the AI image generators. Let's take Midjourney, even though Midjourney is not so cool anymore. My wife and myself are big fans of Midjourney. You basically do prompts that access not large language models, so text, but these multimodal models. All right, and the 4th example is the code assistance for the programmer colleagues or the software engineers. So basically fine-tuning for this specific programming activity so that the prompts can make use of the large language models. Okay, so this is why coding is one of the killer use cases of these new systems. Make sense so far? Any questions before I go into the other 4 layers? Or any reflections, ideas that you might use this periodic table in your own contexts?
I think
Please,
the
Alex.
periodic table is very useful for me. I really like it. It's color coded. What I believe I would add for myself are the steps that I won't use LLMs for. When creating a recipe of a full workflow, I would intentionally put some, let's say, gray blocks of non-LLM steps.
Yeah, so Dana, if you're here, the Okapi team, in their implementation of the AI periodic table, actually gray out the others. When you focus on something, it basically shows only the other elements that, for example, RAG is connected to, but not all the elements in the periodic table. And of course, if you want to vibe code your own periodic table, interactive and for educational purposes for your colleagues or clients, it's a nice hobby project over the weekend. Yeah, thank you, Dana. So that's the link. All right, so we'll move on to the next. So this is the overview. What my message here is that, of course, we'll sing all of these user-facing AI-powered products from incumbents, from startups as well. Like, for example, for product and engineering, Cloud Code, Cursor, Replit, Lovable, GitHub Copilot, and the others. There are so many tools, all right? For sales, also has, HR also has AI-powered tools, marketing and design, and all those other functions. The idea is, and this message of, okay, let's not stay in the magical thinking, and let's try to understand a bit together what goes on behind this user-facing product. There is this 4-layer. Of course, this is just one model. This is just one representation from Menlo Ventures. You will also get the link from the original source. But basically, there are these 4 layers with many tool categories. Okay, and now in 5 minutes, I'll just speed run through the categories, and then we'll deep dive a bit into them. All right. We know about these foundation models from OpenAI, from the other AI labs, Anthropic, Gemini, Meta, Quen, Mistral, European, and everything. So there are all these players that are investing a lot in developing the models, and also there are all these compute players that are offering the processing for all these operations, all this processing, all these inferences that need to be done. Besides these 2 categories that are like the bedrocks of the whole stack, right? You have this inference and serving. Inference is the fancy technical term for the questions or queries or what goes to the models, and you need to send to the models. So basically, there is a whole lot of tools that are optimizing how these inferences are being done. And there are also tools that are optimizing how the tokens are being served. There are many questions about latency, how much time the user will wait until the outputs will be shown, and these kind of things. So basically, there is this category that has that has developed a lot in the last 3 years of inference plus L. Like I was mentioning about fine-tuning and other types of model customization, there is this other category of, let's see how we can customize models for various purposes. So how we can train specific models for the purposes of an industry or of a specific company and things like this, with some subcategories of reinforcement learning, which is, in a nutshell, you give some incentives and you reward good outputs. You'd punish or give disincentives for bad outputs. So this is reinforcement learning in a nutshell, and there are companies working on this interpretability and specifically to fine-tuning. And then I was so surprised, and maybe we'll explore together, how many players, how many companies have been developing in the past 3 years of training data on specific industries, human activities, and offering reinforcement learning environments and real-world data for these other parts of the computing foundation layer to improve for being actually used in the real world. And we will see some screenshots in here. But basically, in a nutshell, just to share with you, If you are an expert, let's say in learning and development or advanced mathematics or any other specific profession or expertise, basically platforms like Medcore pay you, I don't know, like $100 per hour or 78 dollars per hour as an average from what I remember, so that you can train, do this reinforcement learning human feedback thing. So basically look at what these models output and using your high expertise to reward or punish the outputs, and by doing so to do this reinforcement learning. So this is being done in at industrial scale at the moment. All right. And then, of course, besides the compute and foundation layer, there is this data storage and data pipelines. So basically, how the data is stored, how is the data retrieved. And when I'm talking about data, you can think about company data. Okay, the data that companies have from various operations, from various activities, from sales, from marketing, from people, the people and organization side, the HR side, all this kind of data. There are these older players like Snowflake, MongoDB. The technical folks here probably have been playing with these tools already a lot. The Databricks that has been co-founded by Romanians that has very large valuations these days, especially because it provides this integrated data platform to be able to connect the technical capabilities that are being offered by the compute and foundation layer with the actual data that is stored in various lakes and various parts from the company to be able to enable the upper layers of orchestration and real world use. Okay, and I'll be sharing some, for example, Pinecone is the emerging top layer when it comes to vector databases that I was mentioning in the periodic table. And not only this, but you also need data pipelines in the sense that this data, in order to be used in a cost-efficient way and fast way by the models to be able to provide the outputs used in various use cases, need to be served in a proper manner. So, taken, retrieved from the data storage places and served to the models. So there are these specialized players on data pipelines. Okay, so this is the other layer that has been developing with lots of billions and everything. And if you think very simply, so basically the compute and foundation layer provides the raw power of the models, of the compute and the customization and optimization of the other categories. And the data, what it does, the data layer basically connects to the reality of that company. Okay, connects with the reality of the company. And of course, if you have access to industry-wide data, it's also connecting to that specific data, so that we get to this layer 3 of orchestration. So basically in this layer, you will see this category of agent frameworks. So frameworks that put together and enable the development of multi-agent systems. See you, Dragoș. All right, and we will see a bit in the screenshot from LangChain and Crew AI and Mastra, the top players that were picked by this VC firm. Then there is this other category of model gateway and routing routing, in the sense that probably you have heard of, or you already know, or you already feel the pain of misusing various models. So using models that are for specific complex activities and that are more expensive, burning tokens for things that might not be uh, needing so complex reasoning and stuff, and for which you might be using an open source model that is that can do the job and can is usually cheaper. Of course, many variables, it depends, but what these tools do is for the agents to be able to progress towards those specific goals or those specific tasks that are given. It helps them uh, act as this gateway and select the proper models, whether it's a large language model trained on general data, whether it's a fine-tuned model for the specific, with specific weights for the industry or for the activity, this kind of stuff. Then there's the durable execution category. Bear with me, I have only 5 more categories. Okay, durable execution. This is a category of tools that basically help those agents continue executing towards the tasks, even though the network fails, even though the one LLM provider might fail, like you saw Claude last days. So immediately do this fallback, have this fallback logic, okay, to be able to continue executing what's needed, and especially for customer facing deployments, this is highly critical. And I saw Temporal that they received, I think, 2 billion or something in funding as a Series B. All right. Then there's this memory management, how to manage the memory that is being used by these other tools, and the evaluation and observability. Evaluation. Uh, Again, evaluation is about seeing whether the outputs of these systems are the right thing. Observability is to be able to understand what they do behind the, so not to have like a black box that you are not able to observe what they're doing in various steps, what kind of resources they're accessing, what kind of internal sources they are accessing to be able to do the tasks. And then finally, the 3 categories. For these agents that are being developed and deployed in production, there are various tools that, for example, help those agents authenticate in the proper systems, integrate with other systems. There are these other browser infrastructure tools where, for example, the agents can browse in specific ways. They can launch 1,000 browsers in parallel, and you can check whether it, like some browser sandboxes, where you can check whether they behave okay before letting them loose in the real world, and also code sandboxes for the coding agents. Okay, so the purpose of this 10 minutes, 15 minutes segment was to share with you that, okay, there is lots of bombardment and hype. Okay, AI does this and that. Behind all of these speculations and all this hype and everything, there are all these tools, all these categories with very driven and very well funded teams that are developing continuously and finding solutions. Basically, of course, we know about the hallucinations, about the various downsides of these generative AI technologies, including of the reasoning models. But what, in a nutshell, for myself, as I mentioned at the beginning, I try to translate all this information to myself as well. Basically, what all these various players in various parts of this tech are doing is to increase the reliability, accuracy, security, observability, and all the Andy, all the expected attributes, so that these agents can truly be used in business, in production. Okay, so this is my message. I didn't want, also when promoting promoting the session, to sound like others are doing, the scaremongering, the apocalyptical, the everything. As I was mentioning, if we want to stay, see you Leo, if we want to stay relevant and help others around us stay relevant, we probably need to understand a bit better what's actually happening. And of course, this is like the belly of the fantastic beast, but also we can look at what various companies are already implementing and deploying and launching and bragging about in various industries, because there is this brag element. And yeah, if we can triangulate and distill what's actually real from all the hype, all the bragging, all the everything, we can see, and I started seeing this, especially in banking, that these especially large companies are already, by investing a lot, are already seeing and being able to deploy these agents in production with results. Not many results are being shared at the moment. I keep scanning the field to see about actual results and outcomes. Yeah, but basically it's not only hype. What's with this tech? Of course, my fellow product managers and product makers, if you need to develop AI-powered products for various people in B2B and B2C, you probably need to understand, okay, not maybe the bare backbone of compute and all the nitty-gritty technical details of how the models are continuously evolving, but probably you will need to understand evals, observability, data pipelines, and these kind of things from layer 3 especially, and also layer 2 data, especially if you're developing B2B products. Now, for colleagues in software engineering, again, and this I shared in the Leaders in Tech community with our colleagues and leaders as well in there. Engineers, now there is this AI engineer job that is basically, I think I have here some. So basically the AI engineer, the AI engineers are focusing on this orchestration layer, but as requirements, as job requirements, that they also need to have a good understanding of data and compute and foundation. Of course, there are the data engineers that are specialized in the data layer, so they need to understand above and below in the stack. And there is also a new specialization of LLM ops. So these are the specialists that are, for example, with the models that the company has access to and has bought or has access to open source, they are doing this internal model customization for various use cases. So not buying from various providers like this, but developing internal custom models. So I'm seeing these emerging roles in the software engineering space. Please, Millie.
Yeah, coming from the more org design and kind of this AI transformation role and enablement in a way, what I'm interested, have you, and maybe that's in the deck, in the Miro board, I'm not sure, but correlation of the typical stack and the size of the company and getting to the next level, in terms of from which kind of lenses have you also looked at what is the typical stack of like a large company versus maybe startup, and some of the typical behaviors that we can expect or consult on when it comes to, the next
so Millie, I think the good news for everyone from multiple sources, and I can share the dedicated newsletter I have on adoption of AI. What I learned is most of the players, whether startups, whether large companies, whether SMBs, are just getting started. So of course, the startup colleagues that basically develop tools like this, they make full use of whatever is available because they don't have so much security, large customer base, compliance, and all those aspects that are very important for larger entities. They just need to get to product market fit very fast and show some numbers, some traction to investors to be able to ride this very big wave of AI-powered products. And one remark from myself, I'm very astonished that more product makers are not starting startups these days and still clinging to a nice job in the corporate. No offense, my colleagues in the product maker community, because this is, I think one of the huge opportunity of our lives. Then the large companies, most of them are clueless in the sense that all the McKinseys, the Bains, the BCGs are pitching that you can do this or that, but in order not to become a prisoner of the consultants and of the vendors, you basically need to ramp up your internal capabilities. I'm not so really, besides the governance work, the policies, where to use, and all these things that need to be done, you need to develop your actual internal capabilities. So I just started seeing some 200 roles, AI-related roles in Romania. So it's not much, but it's just emerging. So it's to answer your question briefly, it's a lot of buy, build, or partner these days. With the more mature players and more seasoned, experienced decision makers, knowing that you shouldn't rely and become captive like they became captive of the cloud providers, become captive of specific entity, and be able to retain your data and negotiation power by working with multiple providers and not get into this captive state just because you wanted to show some numbers to the board. So this is what I'm seeing, and the big JP Morgans, the big investment banks, and have billions to invest already. They already have this philosophy, so they are past pilots and everything. And I will share the Substack for the dedicated research in public. They invested in having this freedom of action for the future, and probably to dominate the market as others come to rely on and become captive. Because as you know, and there's this trend of enshittification with the platforms, how these players work is they offer you honey and spice and everything nice at the beginning, so, to be able to get you locked in. And then, as it happens with most of the platforms, also for us as B2C, they start asking, charging more. When you cannot switch, you lose your negotiating power and switching power. They start asking more. They stop offering, like Miro happened as well. With Canva, it happened as well, and with Figma as well. There is this well-known trick for these players to get entities locked in and then start setting terms. And if you see the pitch decks and the requirement decks from VCs, they're basically for all these startups and others, many others, this is just a small part, they are saying, look, there is this multi-trillion-dollar opportunity of replacing labor. If you want to play in this space, we give you money. If you win, you'll be the richest you'll ever be. But they're not talking anything about ethics, about that labor, is attached, is being done by actual people that we don't know what will happen with them. But this is from the tech side. This is what I wanted to share with you today. The generative AI stack. Hope it made more sense. And for the next session, if you are curious, and I have all these screenshots that I've been curious about, like for example for the various categories in the layers, to look a bit, okay, what are these various players selling? So that, like I was mentioning, for example, Mercor. Look, if you are a physics PhD expert, you can gain between $70 to $90 per hour to do this is the job requirement, write and refine prompts to guide model behavior in life sciences context, evaluate responses to biology-related queries, conduct fact-checking. So this was for biology PhD. So probably we'll do a separate session for this deep dive to see what these players are promising and doing, because they already have lots of customers and case studies. All right, hope it was useful. I hope it was a lot. As I mentioned at the beginning, it was the first time for me as well when I shared all this information. Any final reflection, thoughts, takeaways?
It is indeed a lot, but you did a great job explaining it, and it helped me as well create a clearer picture.
Yeah, for me, I would be so happy if you tell me as a follow-up, look, I organized this sharing session with my product team or with my L&D team or with my management team, to be able to share, of course, not the whole shebang that we share today, but at least the periodic table. I found it very, very useful because it gives you like a vocabulary, without being afraid, okay, embeddings, retrieval augmented generation, and all this kind of stuff. It's like some Lego building blocks, that you can develop vocabulary in your team, in your company, for your clients. A lot to process. Yes.
Brilliant. I can tell you what is my kind of question. Oh, sorry. That was someone.
Yeah, please, me. Yes.
I think one question that emerged for myself that I wanted to share with you is like, what is this capability that you mentioned that company needs to build internally to keep up and monitor and adjust as you go? Like, I'm curious, if you've seen the roles that are already doing that, like what is this kind of center of excellence for transformation in the bigger ones, or just like chief technology officer, I don't know now, who will actually be translating this for the organization and be this internal consultant if they don't go externally. So for me, that is the question, just like who will be this key, almost a researcher in a way, researcher consultant to make informed decision, hey, we want this rather than that, or we need to completely like to abandon the legacy tech and go for this and that. Like, I'm just curious, how will that space evolve?
Yeah, just a quick answer, and maybe we dedicate a session because it's a lot to. But what I've seen is usually CTOs are being tasked with, at C-level, and with the brightest and the brilliant minds they have, they create this team, special forces team. Internally, that they get, maybe from the early champions, maybe from people that have shown some traction, they get this bandwidth and dedicated, time and everything and resources to be able to provide contextually relevant information about all this stuff, not things that like I said, the McKinseys, the Bains, the BCGs, to have this internal counterbalance for all the external information. But we can deep dive. There are emerging setups. All right, thank you a lot. So the next two sessions will be about the actual tools, and we will look at them a bit. And the second one about what you asked, Millie, to see some configuration, some internal capabilities, how they are already developed. Thank you. If you enjoyed the session, share it with your colleagues, invite them to the next ones. It was a pleasure to share this with you. See you soon.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
It's brilliant. Have a nice day.
Bye.
Bye. So Vali, it's the Luma calendar. I will send as a follow-up with the recording and everything, and you are already subscribed to the calendar.
Yes, but when I look here on the calendar at the good use of AI channel, I don't see any upcoming events. That's why I have asked.
Because I will organize them soon.
Okay. So it's not.
And just as a heads up about the next events, for those of you who stayed, we will have the next AI in business session with a colleague, the head of ODN culture, Florin Iordachiu from Orange, Romania. So we invited, I'm co-hosting with Leo Alexandru from Deloitte Tax, and we invited Florin to share with us what actually is being done in Orange. Of course, not from the technical side with the technical implementations, but with organization level use of AI. So this will happen on April 3rd at 1:30 p.m. Romania time, if you want to save the data. And thank you, Alex. For now, no, but soon when it grows a bit, yes. All right. See you soon.
Awesome. See you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Bye.